Hello and welcome to the Philippines. I've been here for 3 years, and here are some of my thoughts about the Philippines. I've been in Cebu City, and it has been a journey, a fun journey. The Philippines is, the government and the people are very welcoming, very friendly, very helpful. The government is looking for investors, foreign investors, expats, retirees, tourists. We all bring money in and we help the economy grow. The Philippines has been one of the fastest growing economies for several years in Southeast Asia, and it's expected to continue to be that way for several years to come. Just like foreigners and visitors in any country, you can wear out your welcome. For many of us, it's halfway around the world. Although we have many similarities, it's Southeast Asia. It's a different culture, different language, different customs, and you could wear out your welcome if you become arrogant and start insisting that they become more like you. Saving face is a very important custom here in the Philippines and other Asian countries. Basically means it's not a good idea to confront somebody, embarrass them, especially in public. The result will often be worse than what you would do if you would be much more diplomatic. Smile, keep your voice down, and use some diplomacy. I've seen a number of people get upset in the immigration offices and other places, and I suspect, wouldn't be surprised, that their request for visas, extensions, or special visas were probably denied because of that. Not only are the people very friendly and helpful, but I find them to be some of the happiest people I've ever met in the world, and regardless of what's happening around them. And they live for today. Many of them told me the Westerners, especially Americans, they're too busy. They don't take enough time to live and enjoy life. There is less urgency to get things done, and you will probably find that to be a little bit frustrating, depending upon where you're coming from. It takes time to get things done here. It's not going to get done overnight, where it may be that way in your home country. A big positive, many people here in the Philippines speak English to varying degrees. Many of them amazingly speak 3 languages. They speak Filipino, they speak their own language from whatever region they're from. Here in Cebu, it's Bisaya. It could be Ilonggo or several others in different regions, and to varying degrees English. And it's kind of, if you don't use it, you lose it. Use it or lose it. And I've had Europeans who speak 2 or 3 languages say the same thing. They knew German and French, but they forgot French because they never used it. It can be a quite different English than what you're used to. The grammar is a little different. The pronunciation is a little different, so sometimes words are misunderstood. It takes a while to get across the proper meaning. But you can usually find somebody, and through some trial and error you can get across what you want or understand, get the directions that you're looking for. The cost of living here can be very, very reasonable, too reasonable, depending upon your lifestyle, depending upon your ability to budget and live within your means. I think 1,000 US dollars a month is at least a minimum that a person should work with. People say they're living on much less, but there are always those unexpected expenses, medical expenses, dental expenses, travel expenses, girlfriends, wives, families. Cities like Cebu City, where I live, and Manila, generally have much higher rents than you pay once you get outside the city a little ways. And that's something you can look at, where you can decrease your costs. There is a convenience factor living close into the bigger cities. A person shouldn't get bored here in the Philippines. You're close to beaches, you're close to mountains. It's not difficult to get on a plane and take a trip outside the Philippines to other Asian countries, Southeast Asian countries. There's festivals going on year-round in different cities, different provinces. There are ecological parks, there are forests, there are mangrove swamps, there's fishing that you can do. The malls, a lot of people hang out at the malls. There's bowling, there's ice skating. SM Mall has ice skating rink in it, and just general sightseeing, resorts, swimming, almost non-ending list of things that you can do here in the Philippines, except snow ski at this point in time. We are relatively close to the equator, so the weather is generally hot and humid to degrees. For instance, this period of time we're in our wet season, which means every few days rains for 30 minutes to an hour or so. And our highs are usually 90 or 85 to 90 degrees, and then early in the morning it's down to 77 to 80 degrees. So it's reasonable. We get our thunderstorms that roll in and roll out around the different islands, and it took me about 6 months to adapt to this. I'd been living in the desert in Arizona, which gets up to about 45 degrees centigrade, or well over 100. We are subject to typhoons. You call them hurricanes over there in the United States. Typhoons here generally hit more of the eastern islands and the north half of the Philippines more than they do the middle or southern half, but they can hit anywhere almost. Cebu is protected by other islands, and I have gone through about, I believe, about 3 of them, and we just had a little extra rain. Really wasn't that big of a deal here at all. But one shouldn't be fooled. The eastern islands can get hit very bad, especially low-lying areas, as well as the northern. They usually head up north towards Taiwan and Japan, and then they can swerve any direction. I have said it before, and I'll say it again. I feel very safe here in the Philippines, in Cebu City. And I have a lot of people, when I walk, come up to me and ask me, "Are you lost? Direct me to a jeepney or try to get a taxi for me." But they warn me, don't go into this area. And I know if I'm uncomfortable, I watch my surroundings. But I walk in areas here. I've walked in areas here that I would never think of walking in the cities of the U.S. or probably many cities in Europe as well. The people are friendly, they're helpful. They always tell me, "Sir, we're not all friendly, we're not all good people." But I guess maybe I've been very lucky. I have had a couple pickpocket incidences, and I've learned from that. But they were learning experiences. You will see a lot of private security. Many stores have private security here, so you'll see a lot of people outside of banks, inside and outside, carrying shotguns and handguns, and they hire private security here. You don't see so many policemen like you do in the USA, and also you don't see many traffic policemen. You see traffic enforcers standing out in the middle of intersections directing traffic different times of the day, and occasionally you see checkpoints where they're checking people's registration, that type of thing. But you don't see the police and the highway patrol, that type of thing. You will occasionally see some military vehicles and Philippine National Police vehicles. But you will probably be surprised by the number of private security people you see. I'm told there are quite a few undercover agents, policemen, and that's where most of the arrests are made, actually. Tourist policemen told me that downtown Cebu City, that most of the arrests are made by undercover agents. You do want to protect your belongings, and probably don't want to wear a lot of jewelry or flash cash around. That would be pretty silly. I know a couple of expats, and many of you know them too, who've had their rented units broken into, houses. So you need to take the precautions that you need to take depending upon where you're living. And that's the same regardless of where you're living in the world, of course. There are challenges for us foreigners from other cultures. You should have a plan B, C, and D. And because things don't always go according to plan. Follow your dreams, but learn to adapt. Also have enough cash so that you don't get stuck someplace in some other country. I've seen it happen to many people, and I've had it happen to me when I first came here 3 years ago. After a few months, I didn't get a check for 6 months. And I didn't come here broke. I was able to survive. But you need to think about things like that. Things can go haywire back in your old country. The Philippines has been growing very rapidly for a number of years, and it is under construction. There's a lot of infrastructure projects ongoing, and you're going to see a lot of changes and improvements in the years to come. But there are challenges depending upon the region and provinces that you're in. You either adapt or you're going to be miserable any place you go, especially in a foreign country. So 3 years since I came here in August of 2015. I've made one short trip back to the U.S. In that time. But I continue to enjoy the culture, the friendly people here in the Philippines. The cost of living is reasonable, and the culture is welcoming, and many of the people speak well enough English so that you can communicate and get things done. We each have different wants, needs, and priorities, and some of you like other countries. Nothing wrong with that. Anyway, thank you for watching and listening to me. Please like the video, share the video, subscribe. Safe travels to you all wherever you're at, and I hope you're having a great time wherever you're at. And we'll see you next time.